My name's Sabrina Romanoff. Thanks so much for joining my podcast. Super excited today to speak with Pandora Pang. She's a business mentor and also owner of two luxury brands. Pandora, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
I've lived in Southern California for 30 some years. I'm born and raised in Hong Kong, and my passion is with businesses, really optimization, maximization, finding that diamond in the rough and making it beautiful.
So you help business owners scale revenue, is that right?
Yes, really at the end of the day, it's about people, their purpose, their passion, and making it powerful so that the profits just come because you're congruent to what you're doing and your passion is there and the systems are there.
Are you able to share any examples of businesses you've worked with or types of businesses you've worked with?
One of my businesses, I represent artists and I put installations in different places, large ones, little ones, and hold art exhibition and help art galleries grow. But at the end of the day, it's really the systems people, the business people having conversations with the artists and the collectors.
Yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit about how your work intersects with AI. Are there ways you can leverage AI to either improve collaboration among teams or help improve the efficiency of teams working together?
At the very advanced level, you already have AI in a lot of the things that we're working on. These larger companies, they're way ahead of us, right? But for the smaller businesses, one-man band or 10 people, 50 people, at the end of the day, it starts with the owner and or the managers. What kind of culture do you want to build? And I think if you go to AI as a business owner or as a team leader, you got to decide whether you want familiarity or you want mastery. And how open are you to embrace it? It is really your vision and your own integration in your head. And if you have that vision, you can actually encourage that culture. Then you can start delegating. Oh, you know what? I want this kind of marketing system. And you use, this is where you go to create the images. This is where you go to create those spreadsheets. And this is how you have the calendar. So everybody have their own different talents and you just got to all collaborate.
Okay.
But with AI, I think that you could be one person and you can actually do the whole system. But obviously, I don't want my clients to be the one doing it. I want them to delegate. So once you figure it out, you just got to start delegating and build the system up so that you can scale. Same thing with finance. There are people that think that, I would never know finance, but man, ChatGPT is so great. You just throw in a bunch of phrases. You can even throw in the spreadsheet and it just, hey, tell me what I'm supposed to know, right? So I find that this is a fascinating time to be living and creating. So I'm very excited.
It's funny you mentioned that because I'm thinking of one friend and she has a custom GPT for each major role. So a custom GPT that has been fed a lot of knowledge about the marketing styles and the brand voice that she wants. A different GPT that focuses more on product, competitor websites to generate product ideas and things like that. And it's incredible like what you're able to accomplish today if you have an AI system guiding you along the right places. Things that previously would have cost thousands of dollars just to get started with. Now you can at least prototype quickly with AI, get a sense of what you like. And then when you're ready to bring on a person or delegate to somebody else, then they can run with it. And you've already done a ton of testing, a ton of experimentation to de-risk the process and your investment.
The website just started happening, and there are people that do these custom websites. A lot of people had wasted a lot of money because they're starting to talk about the ideas and the coders started coding, and now people use Figma. But at the time, it's PowerPoint or like Adobe, and they just draw the storyboard, whether it is the color or the flow or whatnot. It's so much easier to draw storyboard than build out all these codes and then say, oh, you know what, that's the wrong order. You got to redo it,
Exactly.
right?
And how is the reception among business owners you work with? Are they embracing AI, fearful of it, confused about it? Like, what is the sentiment that you're seeing out there?
The whole thing is that starting anything or changing anything is very, very difficult. And then depending on the degree of success or failure, people may just give up. So first question is, as a business owner, do you want mastery or do you want familiarity? I vote for familiarity right now. I mean, I came from the corporate finance background, doing mergers, acquisitions, these three-dimensional spreadsheets that I used to build, no more. So people just need a little bit of nudge. And if you do it the right way, people just embrace it.
When it comes to AI, how are people approaching learning it? Do you have any advice for business owners who are really brand new to the topic and have no idea where to start?
A lot of business owners, they're visionaries. So there's a bit of ADD involved as far as whether they're embracing or they're not embracing. It's kind of like you want to learn to play piano. If you run into a teacher that just keeps slapping your fingers and tell you about how long your nails are, then you won't succeed. But you have somebody that is very forgiving and just want to hear the tunes, and then we'll figure out the rest later. It's just so fascinating. I don't think that anybody that wants to succeed could fail in embracing AI. It's just the degree of it.
Yeah, and there's so many different areas you can start with. Even for my own parents, they just started with Midjourney. They were just creating different images and things like that. It helps to start with just a familiar use case that you already have to get done anyway. And you realize, oh, hey, AI can help me with this particular thing.
I personally think that AI helps bring people together. For example, in my own use case, I had a situation where I was presenting a piece of art with the artist, and the artist only spoke English, but the piece of art is for a Chinese collector wanted it. So I figured out how to just turn it into Chinese. And so his mouth moved the Chinese way, and then he was cracking up. And then before you know it, I turned it into Japanese just for fun. So now language is no longer a barrier. And if you look at the numbers, people can't do images, and AI help you express. There are people that listen well, there are people that see well, there are people that kind of touch well. So you just got to communicate different way, and AI open up this whole ton of possibility to just get the message through.
I love that, especially as it applies to personalized learning. I'm actually the complete opposite. I will read like a 200-page document, but I'm very bad visualizing things. So tools like Midjourney, I can like describe what I want, but I can't visualize it. So it just helps me kind of express myself in that dimension that I normally wouldn't have experimented with at all. It is a controversial topic, obviously, in the art world, things like AI art generation, image video generation. What is your take on that? And what advice do you have to artists who are not sure whether they should experiment with something like that due to ethical reasons?
I actually think that it's a great idea generator. You throw ideas in there and it just starts showing you possibilities that you never thought of. The key is AI with human intelligence. So to fight a technology and hamstrung yourself is not the best idea. So to condemn the efficient method that helps people bring out more work and put more value into custom work, I think it's kind of short-sighted.
Yeah, I love that perspective. And I'm not an artist, so people ask me about it, but I don't feel like I can answer super authentically. And that's why it's really valuable having your voice on a podcast like this, just to share what other folks out there who are very involved in the artwork, what your perspective is and thought on this. It's definitely a very controversial topic, I'm sure, among artists and folks in the creative arts right now.
Yeah, if you think about the NFT world, right? All these NFTs, I've seen it generated. And those are all NFTs, those are one of a kind, but thousands of them happen in a nanosecond. So I think, Sabrina, at the end of the day, we're all doing the same thing to get at human condition, whether we are doing computer work or doing like cleaning things more efficiently or whatever. At the end of the day, it's about the human condition. If we are able to have other tools to help us either express it or connect it or absorb it, I'm all for it.
Do you find that that's the majority opinion among folks in the art world you meet, or is it something else altogether?
It really depends. Artists see the world in their own very unique way, and that's why there's always a bid and an ask, right? There's always two sides of things. I am sure that there are people that are very particular about this piece of stone has to be done from the first touch.
Not from a template.
From a template. And then there are people that would generate a picture from AI, and then they take that and then they pretty much paint with that in mind. So it's an idea, like I said, an idea generator. Sometimes they talk about it, sometimes they don't. But I think there's a saying, and I think I'm going to butcher it. It says if you learn or take from one person, you're stealing. But if you are taking from multiple people, you're synthesizing and you're creating. At the end of the day, there is innovation that is complete new innovation. There are a lot of innovations that are disruptive innovation. Even Elon Musk with the whole going to the space thing. At the end of the day, it's a trucking business, I call it, because trucking just happened to go sideways and his trucking goes up.
I love that. What, in your opinion, is the biggest thing holding back business owners from getting to the level that they want to achieve? Since you've worked with a range of different business owners and you have the perspective from the art world as well. And so I'm curious if you have noticed or observed any patterns or trends.
Business owners getting in our own way. Things have to be happening in a specific way. It's the leadership element. And that happens sometimes it's because there's this guy in us in here that would not shut up and keeps talking. And so that stops a lot of us from being able to, whether it is delegate or trust. At the end of the day, you need to delegate and then you need to check. So it's only through this that you could build the trust and have everything be scalable. A lot of us have this problem of letting go. There's also a lot of some kind of trauma in the past of the old story, the new story. So, I have hired somebody that took advantage of me. So the next time I look at these people, I'm going to think about how they're going to take advantage of me instead of starting with a fresh piece of paper. It's a hard thing to do, but it's something that we must do. Going back to AI application again in business, I find that a lot of people are using AI for hiring purposes to match whether the job description, the expectations, and then kind of like, okay, each month or each quarter, what am I expecting and what kind of skills do you have to have or learned or acquired to now make it to the next step? I think that AI helps people that are not that systematic to be more systematic. It lays out point by point. It also helps people that can't get a big concept. It gives it to you, especially when you say, well, ask me questions before you proceed.
My favorite one. It just shows you how much context you actually didn't communicate. I always say interacting with ChatGPT has made me a better communicator in real life because now in the back of my mind, I'm like, did I provide enough context? Was I clear in my instructions and what I wanted? Did I set the tone and the framework and the purpose of my prompt or request appropriately? And I have that background process now running just when I talk to people.
Well, let me ask you, in your own journey, would you consider yourself as systematic? And what have you learned in this journey? What's going to make you more successful or less successful? And how are you doing with it?
Yeah, I think being open and flexible, that's been a really big one for me. And as I started my content creator journey, I had my big goal, which was teach 1 million people AI. And that's always been my North Star. But in terms of how to get there, it's been a crazy zigzag. I would have never expected to have TikTok and Instagram be my primary platforms. I always thought like LinkedIn and my blog, and I was almost ready to give up on TikTok because I was stuck at 100 followers for a month. And, it's time consuming making videos, but I stuck with it. Lo and behold, I found kind of a tribe there, an audience of people who are hungry for AI education. When I first started, my goal was 100,000 in 5 years. 1 million was like my 10-year goal. You never know where you might end up if you just like stay true to what it is you value. The specific channels that I used have evolved just based on a lot of trial and experimentation.
My question to you, teaching 1 million people AI, is what do you see when that happens? Like, what does the world look like when that happens?
My underlying mission behind it is to bridge the gap between the traditional tech world, which is where I came from. It's a very traditional tech. But to your point, I never quite fit the mold. And I knew that. And my best friends know that too. Growing up, I read philosophy books, literature books. I just finished reading another Dostoevsky book. Like, that is the stuff I would do even if nobody paid me ever. I would just like sit and read and write. And anyone who knows me personally knows like my deep, deep passions, like things I don't even notice I do, are reading and writing all day long. Going the content creator route has been really interesting because it's allowed me to tap into a part of myself I did not realize was undernourished and that I had closed off into a box and just hid away for a long time. Because part of content creation is the creativity around like what I write, how I take a complex idea and distill it down into something that is actionable and that somebody is excited to try out. Those are creative challenges that I find really fulfilling, and it just taps that part of myself that loves reading and writing.
No, I love that. There was a period in my journey that I was working with Tony Robbins and with his community. And I remember I was all righteous about like, okay, well, I'm the business mastery coach and I'm supposed to coach the how and the what's, right? And he's the why guy. I'm in a group of all Tony Robbins fans. They were talking about how, oh my gosh, that was so great. It took 80% the decision, and then the other 20% is just doing it, right? And I got a little indignant at the time, and I said, wait a minute, now he's setting me up for failure because they all show up, signed up, and then go, okay, it's only 20% of the effort. I'm like, no, it's hard work. But what I didn't realize is what the next guy told me. He said, Pandora, it took me 10 years to get here. And if you were to tell me at that moment, I would never be here. If you ask me if there's one thing, it's the 80-20, us being the guide for different areas of people. The best motivator in life is progress. And we're making progress. You go, do more, I can do more.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's why I view TikTok and Instagram. It's a lot of beginner content because I know it's going to reach a lot of people. And a lot of people still haven't tried AI and ChatGPT. You'd be surprised. Like the most common questions I get are like, what is ChatGPT? How do you install it? Is it free to use? Can I use it on my phone? How do I write a prompt? And so I feel like those of us who are in AI, you may not realize you're in a bubble. The average person where I live is not using AI on a regular basis, not deliberately anyway.
It's really enrichment of our lives. But I would tell you that, my personal expertise is in being the bridge between the visionary and the execution people. So AI has helped me do my job a lot better. So I think that a lot of times in growing businesses, whether it is the team, the workers, or the visionary, AI is just so fabulous because it helps you with putting everybody's, whether it is the agenda. You talked about the North Star, where I came from, everything is systematized. So if you have your North Star, today is the 3 things that you're going to do as a company CEO, pointing to the North Star. But the 2 people that report directly to you, you should know what they're doing and they must align because when they do well, it should point to your North Star. And so it just goes on like that. So this is the thing that ChatGPT is able to help you build in a form. At the end of the day, the security, the integration, keeping everything in one system. Again, if there's one message, if you want your life easier, stay in one ecosystem. Don't let people talk you into, you don't have QuickBooks, we'll just suck it all out and put it in QuickBooks. It'll be much easier. No.
Never that simple.
Yeah, exactly. Just I think the key is whether you're doing website or shopping cart or email marketing or whatever kind of inventory management, just stay in one ecosystem. We have plugs, great, but stay one place. It makes your AI much easier.
I have a married couple friend and they use AI all the time to translate what each one is saying. So like if they're like in an argument or whatever, they'll take the argument topic, what the other person said, ask ChatGPT, analyze this argument. Where is this person coming from? What is the substance behind this argument? And what are the weak points of this argument? And it's really interesting because like almost that third party, kind of neutral, objective third party creates a little space for you to step back and just understand where this person is coming from. But using ChatGPT gives you a way to interpret different perspectives without having to engage in the debate while you're still heated. It allows you to take a step back a little bit and like think through.
I really think it's a bridge between kind of the left brain, right brain, or the fiery people and the soft people, the introvert and the extrovert, right? You can all come together. It's a fabulous place. I've been thinking a lot. I always wanted to help people get the edge. My whole career, I was just helping people and then I just rise up in what I do. So both industries that I own businesses in are really cottage industries. One is high-end audio distributions. We import from different countries, sell into the dealership, and then they sell to high-end customers. And then with the art side, it's very cottage industry. Like back in the days, if you know a little bit about SEO, your stuff fly off the shelf because everybody else don't do it. And so I was just thinking about, wow, I wonder how, like from a scale of 1 to 10, how much are these people embracing, like our industry embracing AI? And I guess my message really to everyone, and it's not just for cottage industries, if you happen to be in a cottage industry, where a lot of different people are doing a lot of things, there's probably a lot of opportunity to optimize and maximize and make life a lot easier for people involved. And meantime, as a side effect, profit from it and make the world better, whether it is improving in my case, the experience of feeling the human condition. What can you do with AI and with systems to increase that so you can live a fuller and happier life?
And for audience members who are in cottage industries or know of cottage industries, in terms of market timing, do you think it's early in terms of introducing AI and automation, or are a lot of people already trying to enter cottage industries and try to do that approach like you're suggesting?
I think it's prime time. You do not want to be the first one in anything, with everything that's happening so fast. I think that it's time that if you haven't paid attention to it, you really should. And if you have paid attention to it, you should start looking at the cracks. I'm not saying that you need to think about the next money-making thing. I'm saying that look at yourself, look at how you're doing things, because how many people got to become a big industry only because they were looking for something that they couldn't find in the world and they started building themselves. I am not saying that go look at the opportunities and jump into it. I'm saying look at what you're doing and figure out how to improve it. There must be tools in there, and consult with people like yourself, and very fast you will be ahead of the curve.
I love that message, because a lot of people ask me, like, what should I build? What should I do as a startup? But it's much better if you start from your own problem, craft like a solution that makes sense for yourself. And a lot of big businesses are built that way, as you said, because you have a very clear idea of like, this is working or this is not working. So I always recommend people to start with observing your own life. Just as an example, like look at what you currently pay for in your credit card bill. Look at the things you pay for. And then which one of those things are like, I wish this was a little bit better, just as an exercise to get you to start observing problems in your own life. Because sometimes I think people asking that question and just not observing their own problems that they go through on a daily basis.
I think there's a saying that's, a lot of people are problem solvers. They take pride in, I'm the knight with the shiny armor, right? But at the end of the day, the key is in problem finding, not just problem solving. So I think with the industry or the people that you're talking to, you are kind of the aggregator of, okay, I got the tools. Come on, give me the problems you want to solve. So yeah, again, I'm a big fan, and I really wish you luck. I know you're going somewhere. I'm just curious after what happened after the 1 million subscribers, because it will happen very quickly.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna add a 0 and to 10 million. Teach 10 million people AI, and I think that will take me a while. So that should keep me busy for a few more years.
Well, I was building the next year budget with the client, and that was last year. And he was like, well, how about from like 6 or 7 to 10? And I go, okay. He goes, can I add another 0? I said, yeah, go for it. And I think this year he's going to do 20. So
really? Oh my gosh, to think bigger. Yeah. It's a good point. Like I said, when I first started, I thought, okay, no way this year. No way. I was ready to be patient, just keep doing what I'm doing, and eventually I'll get there. But it's a good reminder. Think even bigger. Maybe it's 100 million. It would be amazing for me to impact that many people's lives and educate that many people on AI.
But if you think about it, whether it is Malcolm Gladwell talking about, the outlier or the groundswell, at the end of the day, the first bunch is hard, but after that, boom, again,
exponential. Yeah,
it really is. And it's a mathematical calculation sometimes. If you have 5 steps and each step you do 15% better, I'm thinking sales now. If you have 5 steps of sales and each step you do 15% better, you know what the ultimate outcome would be?
A lot more.
15%. How do you double yourself? It's a mathematical calculation.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Well, thanks so much for joining me. How can listeners find out more about you or connect with you?
Well, I'm all over the internet as Pandora Pang, so you can find me on LinkedIn. Is probably the best way to connect, because I have so many identities in what I do. So LinkedIn is the best aggregation point for me.
Really awesome. And that'll be in the video description. Awesome. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you, Sabrina.